I want y'all to do the Shabbat. This is how I want you to do the Shabbat. Keep it holy. Don't do any work on this day. And he emphasized it. Hell yeah, we gotta paint the school today because I live in I can do it. It's on the Shabbat and it's for the Lord's work, so I'm gonna do it today. Howard said, no, you don't got no license from him to do that. You know who gives out license to sin? Satan gives out license to sins. He controls that department. Hashatan is in, oh, you want a license to sin? This is Shabbat. There you go, buddy. Go ahead and defile. Yahweh said, I don't no license. Shabbat, work-wise, don't do it. Only time I can use my alternator is going to be today because tomorrow is going to be a big old snowstorm. You mess around, change your alternator during the Shabbat, and tomorrow, look like you're in Hawaii somewhere in the summertime. All the snow melted, birds just chirping and singing. You see? Don't compromise the commandments. And we got too many men in leadership, on some breakaway councils, falsely representing the government of the Most High. Show me in the law of the Most High. Show me in the walk of the disciples of our forefathers. Show me any man that was trying to be righteous and consider himself to be making a righteous compromise to tell people or to endorse people breaking any commandment in the whole book. Any commandment in the whole book. I see Job's wife saying, you know what? Just curse God and die. That's an evil women mind. That's an evil feminine mindset right there. Well, just break the commandment. You in captivity anyway. God already mad with you. Let's piss him off even more.
Why not?
That's like that son, man, it's an hour after my curfew. Shoot, I might as well stay up for 4 more hours. Instead of, hey, I'm an hour late. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I lost track of time. I didn't want to get in no more trouble. I'm explaining to you, not for you to not punish me, but just so you understand what happened, my mindset. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was wrong. That's the son that'll be like, you know what? The father might have been thinking, oh, get late. Okay, he's going to be on punishment. I'm going to put him on punishment for 3 weeks. Then that apology might be like, you know what? You're on punishment for 2 weeks and 5 days. You might get 2 days off.
Mercy.
You know what I'm saying? You might get some mercy. Or you might be like, you know what? You just on punishment for a week. Don't let it happen again. You see that? So you can't, and these are the principles that these are the principles that we're taught and that we learn during Shabbat. But because you're so busy trying to prove that Cornelius ate popcorn, you're trying to prove that, that Ruth did fried chicken, not chicken fried rice. You're still trying to, but you overlooking the weightier matters. You see, mercy is taught in the law. But you can't get mercy if you're teaching people to break the commandments. There's a difference between mercy and willful sin. And there's a difference between mercy and grace. But neither one is a license to sin. Paul says, shall sin therefore abound? Or shall we sin because we under the law? And we not under the law, but we're under grace? God forbid. Do we therefore make void the law through faith? We establish the law. How can you establish the law if you teaching people it's okay to compromise? Because they live 20 miles away and they got to catch the train on a Shabbat, or they live on another part of town, they got to catch the bus. It's okay for them to do. No, it's not okay. And all these, I ain't gonna call no names, but there's camps out there that's talking about law. Commandments, but it's all a facade. Because when I talk to their leadership one-on-one, well, we in captivity. Same old story. All right. In closing of this little commentary, out of all the places that the leadership of Yasha Allah can go to, people that consider themselves to be leadership of Yasha Allah, You mean to tell me you can't pick a better place to mess up at than IHOP? You can't pick a better place than IHOP? IHOP? You know, not saying that any place we should be, because we know that sometimes, you know, the Most High throw a trick bag, Most High throw a trick bag at you. Oh, you thought you was gonna come here and order something without, you know, without bacon? Well, guess what? I'm gonna give you the bacon garden salad. And just when you about to eat that bacon garden salad, you're gonna see that bacon like, Dad, I probably shouldn't have got nothing from this place right here. You see? So don't compromise, you know, don't compromise. You know, don't compromise the commandments of the Most High, especially we dealing with the Shabbat. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses is not going to no Christmas parties. Seventh-day Adventists are not going to work on the Shabbat. Pentecostal, Apostolics, non-denominational, they are not going to work on Sunday. But here you go with your supreme top knowledge on the planet Earth. You can confound confound those that cannot be confounded. But you cannot stand up for the commandments and laws of the Most High.
No, be an example.
And this is why our people are in the condition we in now. Because everybody want to get out there and run their mouth, but they don't want to teach obedience and they don't want to teach unadulterated loyalty to Yahweh. You're not even loyal to your God. Nigga, what can you say to me? I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Be like word up. Like I don't want to hear you talking. As soon as I hear you saying, well, we in captivity. Oh, nah, I'm straight on you, man. Nah, that's wicked. That's evil what you said, bro. You don't even need to be out there in the street teaching nobody. What you teaching then? If we can sin in captivity, what you teach? Or you can't do this sin. Now you want to do cherry picking. And that's, see, everybody, listen, examine the doctrines of everybody that's being pushed to the forefront on your YouTube and in your Facebook feed and on your conference call. Examine what they teaching behind the closed door and ask them, can I work on the Shabbat? Can I eat at this? Can I eat at IHOP? On a Shabbat to keep yourself set apart, or if you got to not eat on it, get everything out before Friday night, you know, and then just drink liquids on the Shabbat, drink water so you can go number one somewhere, by a tree outside somewhere, before you sit on a defiled commode on a holy day that your woman is on her cycle and she sat on it. And then you go sit behind her to go number two. Now you might be able to water, you know, you might be able to release water inside there, maybe, but then you release the water, she don't use it, and then she using that same nozzle. She opening the same water that you opening. So that's why it's supposed to be a separate part. But you're not really focusing on this because you got to get the breakdowns out to the public and do your conference calls and do your teaching on the street. But you ain't really worried about applying the Torah in your household. I'd be wondering, you know, how disciplined are you in obeying the Most High? You see? So the Most High said on the Shabbat, don't do no work. If you do work, I am going to make sure you get death. A lot of brothers think that only people exempt from the first death are those that go to the second death, are those that they know are exempt. Those that take place in the first resurrection, which is going to happen once we get back into the land of Israel, and those that get taken into the wilderness, into the land of Israel. Those that resurrect on the second resurrection, they got a 50-50 chance, you know. But those that died in Hamashiach, they raising up first. And we will try our lives shall not prevent them. All right, so that's not talking about the rapture, that's the resurrection of the dead with Hamashiach. All right. All right, so that right there, does that
18. Okay.
Come. 18, Shanya. Real small letters they got this.
All right, so second reading is Exodus 31, verses 18 to Exodus 33, verse 11.
We should bring everybody in at the beginning.
Do that now.
Mary parts off and got the Shalom.
Rock.
Yarakam Yahweh Hashem Yahushai.
Yarakam Yahweh Hashem Yahushai.
So the commentary for the second Aliyah is after Yahweh revealed himself to the entire nation at Mount Sinai and told them to obey the Ten Commandments. Moshe ascended from the mountain where he remained for 40 days. There he was to study the Torah and receive the tablets. The Hebrews miscalculated when Moshe was supposed to return, and when he doesn't appear on the day when they anticipated him, they grew impatient and demanded of Aaron to make them a new god. Aaron cooperates all along, intending to postpone and buy time until Moshe returns.
So they said. That's a subjective interpretation.
But despite his effort, a golden calf emerges from the flames. The festivals and sacrifices start early next morning. Moshe pleads with the incensed Yahweh to forgive the Hebrews' sin. Yahweh acquiesces and relents from his plan to annihilate the Hebrews. Moshe comes down with the tablets, sees their idolatry, revelry, and breaks the tablets. Moshe enlists the tribe of Levi to punish the primary offenders. 3,000 idol worshippers are executed on that day. Moshe ascends Mount Sinai again in an attempt to gain complete atonement for the sin of the Israelites. Yahweh tells Moshe to lead the Hebrews towards the promised land, but insists that he won't be leading them personally. Instead, an angel will be dispatched to lead them. Seeing Yahweh's displeasure with the Hebrews, Moshe takes his own tent and pitches it outside the Hebrews' encampment.
Get away from y'all.
This tent becomes the center of study and spuriously until the tabernacle is inaugurated. So that's the commentary for the second Aliyah. So on that note, we ask Mario to commence reading.
Exodus chapter 31, verse 18.
This is a portion.
And to give unto Moshe, he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of our hand.
Wow.
Kal Shirad Bar Yahweh.
Kal Shirad Bar Yahweh.
Nine
Shah Not Shemai.
All Yahweh said.
All Yahweh said.
What we doing
here?
Exodus chapter 32, verse 1. And the people saw that Moshe delayed to come down out of the mount. The people gathered themselves together unto Haran and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moshe, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we want not what has become of him. And now Haran said unto them,
So it seems like they actually are saying, when you read into the text carefully, that they want a replacement for Moses, not for the Most High. Either way, it was wicked, though. Doesn't matter what the purpose is. Oh, Nathaniel is not back here, so let's make a golden calf. That ain't acceptable. You see, but they said that we don't know what happened to Moses, so make these gods for us. It says Asherah. It says Yalakwa La Panyanawa. It says they will walk before our face. You see, Moses was walking before the children of Israel to guide them. So they wanted to get them into the freedom that Yahweh had already going your way. Part of this, but they saying, well, Moses, we got to do our own program now. So that's what's going on. They're trying to do their own program. But we have to stick to the instructions, which is the Torah that Yahweh gave us. These are the instructions that he gave us. And we have to use the instructions that he gave us. We can't use no other instructions. So when brothers try to bring in these other books and all this and that, nah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to use the scriptures to determine doctrine and obedience. Now, if you want to go someplace else, say, hey, yeah, look, I read over here that the young men between this age, that they did this when it came to going into physical war battle. And we say, you know what? That concept is something that we should apply in us trying to unite and bring the nation together to give us more order. And we can see that we're doing things in a way that historically our fathers did things, even though we're outside of our land. Bam, that's it. But we say, no, every brother, he must make sure that he has on his special Mormon magical underwear.
Sorry, I'm on bad. I seen it coming.
His special magical Mormon underwear, he got to have on that. Now you add to the scriptures now. Now we're not going to do that part right there. Now we would add to the principle to say you need to have a special lawful garment on when you come in to serve and do the Most High's work. That's not a question mark, but rather an exclamation point. That's what you need to be wearing. Exclamation points. You need to get all the questions out of your life, man. Serve the Most High with exclamation point, not with question mark and doubt. All right. I go ahead and Maria Salakli.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 2.
Morning.
Oh, yeah.
And Aaron said unto them, break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people break off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, and he made a molten calf.
And look at the irony of that. The irony is that Bezalel was the best at doing everything, but and the Most High had him making a temple. He didn't, I'm not touching that. But then Aaron supposed to be the highest spiritual authority in our nation. And here he is doing Bezalel's job to corrupt the nation. But Bezalel was a man of Judah, and he was using his hands for the temple for the tabernacle and the tent of Yahweh. Aaron is supposed to be inaugurated into his office. And he said, well, I'm going to use my hands to lead the people in the wrong direction. So he's just taking direction and guidance. And that's also showing you kind of sometimes the fickle nature of Levites. Learn from this. Sometimes a Levite be like, well, okay, well, I'll just go with the flow. I'm a priest for you. Okay, you killed him. Okay, I'm your priest now. What you need me to do? You see? But then you had the Moses Levites, the ones that said, who need to be killed? I kill him now. And that's when we go into, they didn't know their mother or their father in Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 8, 9, and 10, I believe.
What's the elder that threw the javelin?
As they say in Columbus, Ohio, the people say, you asked me too fast.
All right.
Phineas.
Then you have the Phineas Levites.
Phineas, not Phineas and Ferb, but Phineas. Yeah. Phineas, okay, we're going to solve this right now. We're going to solve this right now.
I believe those are Levites that are going to come back.
Kind of. It might be somewhere now. We'll find them. Yeah. So you Levites, man, hey, and I told you, brothers, I think it was one of the other brothers that saw Levite. You a Levite brother, man, but hey, it's time to do your job as a Levite, man. Y'all got so much authority in Yasha'Allah. Y'all did a righteous mass purge in the whole nation. No other tribe did that. The Most High said he's going to bless what you put your hand to, man. You know what I'm saying? So that got to be applied to a national level, man. Spiritual level. So yeah, Phineas, there wasn't no suckers, man. So he go, Aaron, well, okay, y'all want a calf? I'll make the calf. Okay. High priest. I'll make the calf for y'all. I'll make the calf. Okay, y'all want to do this y'all way, not my way, as the priest? Okay, I'll submit to you, Judah. Like, nah, Judah, you wrong, Judah. That's not your office, Judah. Go ahead.
And they said, These be thy gods, O Yashalom, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it.
So now Aaron is dead wrong. Because when you read the commentaries of the so-called white man, they make it look like, oh, Aaron was right and he didn't know what he was doing. And now Aaron, he made the altar.
Well, you gotta know what you're doing to do that.
For the other God. And it's this is taking place after they just brought stuff over to Mashah for the temple, for the tabernacle, the righteous tabernacle. So now here Aaron comes behind Moses and behind the Most High, behind Aholiab, and no something I said in the Ibadah, and behind Yahudah, Batazal Allah. Oh yeah, we gotta make this calf over here now. Why would you do that, Aaron? That's and it's showing you the two natures of Levi. What they have, the principle we learn here is that the Most High is everything got a balance. Levi can be used to do good. Levi can be used to do evil. Levi, I'm talking about any other tribe right now. I'm talking about Levi and him being the spiritual leaders and the mediator to Yahweh. In this time frame, they were the ones that stood as the priests before the Most High. So Levi can be used to do witchcraft, or Levi can be used to bring men closer to Yahweh. So depending on what type of Levi's got to have a spine. You got to have a backbone. You got to be a men of Yahweh, because there's going to be more blood on your hands again if you don't straighten out this mess that this nation of Yasha'Allah have created. Don't think that you Levites, the blood ain't on your hands, man.
That's why the Most High punished you double for your sins.
All right, go ahead, Amadia.
And Aaron made proclamation and said, tomorrow is a feast to Yahweh. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. And
Rose up to what?
To play.
Yeah, to revel. So Aaron said, okay, this is now we're gonna make a feast to Yahweh tomorrow, but he's gonna build this calf. This who brought you out. And is worshiping that calf. So whatever justification, whatever logical rationale you can use to try to say, well, they did it, but it really wasn't wrong, or they didn't know they was doing wrong. Yahweh wasn't trying to hear all of that. Yahweh already told you, he had told you in chapter 20, don't make any likeness of anything in heaven or earth and don't bow down to him. And what do? They make a likeness of something on earth and they bow down to it. So Yahweh didn't want us to do that. So he punished us. All right, go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go, get thee down, for thy people, which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves.
So they were trying to replace Moses with the calf. Because now you see the language here. Because remember, they said, when you go into verse, what is that verse? What verse just read?
7.
So verse 7. Let me look at verse 6. Aaron said, we're going to do a festival to Yahweh. The people sat down and drank. Now, what is it when Aaron said in verse 4? Aaron took and he made the goat. He made it. It says Aaron made the animal, the calf. That's what it said. It said he took the gold tool and he fashioned it. So then they said, these are the powers that brought us out. That brought us out of Egypt. Al-Ha. These are the powers that brought us out. Al-Ha, Al-Hayya, Al-Hayyaka. Waya'amadwa. Waya'amadwa. So the people said, these are your gods, the gods of that brought you out of Egypt. All right. So then Yahweh came back and said in verse 10, he says, what's verse that, Mario? When he says these are the people that you brought out of Egypt. Verse
8. These are
verse 8, yeah. No, not that one. Moses, please.
Verse 4.
No. When Yahweh said, Yahweh was talking to Moses. Where's Yahweh talking to Moses at?
7.
And what's he say?
Go descend for your people.
The people you brought, right. He says, Inka, your people, Asherah Ha'iliyata, which you brought out Matazadium.
Didn't want to claim us.
I said, I didn't bring these. You brought these people out of Egypt, Moses. Yeah, I was like,
In other words, I don't know.
Man.
yeah. The Jew brought out, he says, Matazadium, from the land of Egypt. He said, they have turned away from the path that I commanded to make themselves a golden calf. And look what he said. He says, Tasaka, he says, Wa Yashatak Wa. They have bowed down to it and they've sacrificed to it. They were bowing down and sacrificing unto that idol in verse 8.
So that the same Egyptian idol, Apis from Egypt, the calf, the way that they reverenced it was being, performing bestiality.
So apparently bestiality was a part of the worship ritual also. And it had that moon on the top and that kind of crescent shape with the horn too.
Thank you.
Crescent shape with the horn. It's called, is it Hamor, another name of it? Hamor. You said Apis, Hamor. So apparently you say bestiality was a part of worshiping this demon also, this evil spirit. And you invited all that stuff into your life when you worship it. Man. Bulls, calves, bestiality, or bestiality. All right. Go ahead. Verse.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 8. They have turned aside quickly out of the way,
right,
which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped them, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Yeshua, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them. And I will make of thee a great nation.
right.
And Moshe besought thy wrath wax hot against thy people,
because they made an idol. Yeah.
which thou was brought forth out of the land of Egypt.
So Masha is now kind of being a lawyer for the children of Yasha'Allah. Everybody didn't get punished for this. The plague got stayed. But
with great power and with a might and sin. For mischief did he bring them from the face of the earth.
For evil did he bring them out. Okay?
Turn from thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Yasha'Allah.
It says reconsider. It says Ataha Nakam. Okay. Like have grace. Nakam. I'm sorry, yeah, Nakam. Go ahead.
Thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thine own self, and saidst unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever.
Right.
And Yahweh repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people.
You reconsider. It doesn't say teshuva. It says reconsider. All right. Go ahead.
And Moshe turned and went down from the mount, and the 2 tables of the testimony were in his hands. The tables were written on both their sides. The one side and the other side were they written. And the tables were the work of Amahai, and the writing was the writing of Amahai, graven upon the tables. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moshe, there is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh to the camp, and he saw the calf and the dancing, Moshe's anger waxed hot.
And yeah, man, and people, and that's why sometimes, man, he got mad. He got mad. So he's talking to the Most High, man, just calm down, man. Let's, just have mercy on them. Then when he seen what was going on, he got mad too. Because he was still working for us.
Yeah, he was hot.
But then when he seen what happened, he was like, oh my gosh.
Like the magnitude, right.
When he saw how bad, he was like, oh my God, y'all wildin'. Got mad. They say his nose was long. That's the phrase they use for what verse you in, man?
Verse 19.
Verse 19. His anger waxed hot. It says, while you're caught up, yeah, his nose got long, what it talks about. Yeah, that's the word they use for
yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And he cast the tables out of his hands and brake them beneath the mountain.
Yeah, that was kind of. I show you the two sides of Moses. Man was a meek man. I wrote. That's kind of Levi's spirit too. When Levi get in an upset mindset, sometimes he disregard the Most High. He even disregard the Most High. He even disregards the Most High. He said, nope, I'm going to go to Haiti. I got to get this man to get this voodoo spell on this man or this woman that did this wrong to me. Don't matter what the Most. So he'll destroy the work to the Most High that's precious in his own life to fulfill his own desire when he gets angry. And that's what we see happen with Moses right here. He destroyed the work of the Most High because he was mad at the people. All right, go ahead.
And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire, and bound it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Yash'al drink of it. And Moshe said unto Aaron, what did this people think that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? Now Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people, and they are set on mischief. For they said unto me, for as for this Moshe, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And I said to them, whosoever hath any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it me, and I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf, for Haran had made it naked.
Je ne sais quoi? Je ne sais pas. I don't know where this calf come from.
It disappeared.
Put the gold in the fire and it come out. So I don't know, Moses, so it's not my fault. I do what the people ask me to do. I put the gold inside and it come out, but I know it's not good. The people are very bad. Moses, people are the bad people, man. The bad people. Go ahead. He left out the part. He took the gold. He took the tools and made it. He took the tools and made the gold. Whatever, man. All right, okay. Anyway, go ahead.
For Haran had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. Then Moshe stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on Yahweh's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said to them, Thus saith Yahweh on high.
What did you say about, you said Aaron made the people naked?
Mhm.
Read that again. Read verse 25 again.
And when Moshe saw that the people were naked,
Okay.
for Aharon had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies,
Mm-hmm. Embarrassed. Go ahead. Start at 26 again.
then Moshe stood in the gate of the camp and said, Who is on Yahweh's side? Let them come unto me.
So he stood at the gate. Go ahead.
And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him.
So all the tribe of Levi said, We with you, Moses. We with you. Go ahead.
And he said unto them,
Mm-hmm.
Thus saith Yahweh al Hayy Yash'al,
Right.
Put every man his sword by his side.
All the Levites, I need y'all to get a sword. All of the Haitians, get a sword. Go ahead.
And go in and out from gate to gate.
Go into the entrances and the exits of the camp and do what?
And slay every man.
And kill every man. I want all of y'all to be killing. Meaning, I don't want y'all sitting back watching. Everybody need to be killing.
Everybody need a body count.
So like every man what?
His
He knocked
brother,
back his sword.
His neighbor, his friend is what it says in the Hebrew. Same word for neighbor, same word for friend. Go ahead.
and every man his companion.
His the person that's close to him, his relatives, quadabwa, person that's close to you. And that's why in Deuteronomy 33 it said he didn't know his father or his mother or his own children. So Yahweh doesn't discriminate. If I do something, it's a sin. If you do it, it's a sin too. Go ahead.
And every man his neighbor.
Every man his neighbor. So it says his brother. It says his brother, his friend, and his neighbor, or his relative. Go ahead.
And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moshe.
The sons of the sons of Aaron was working hard in this field. You see that? So you're gonna have to have Levites at some point. And that's what Yasha, I believe, well, let me not say it like that. Israelite leadership may be afraid of putting Levi in positions. Because a lot of you Levites out there, y'all brothers don't stand for the Torah. A lot of y'all trying to live a worldly life like you just the same as any other tribe, but I'm gonna give myself a special name or label because I'm a Levite, but I'm gonna just live, dress, and act like every other Israelite when y'all supposed to be on the highest level.
That's disgusting.
Of Israel, man.
That's disgusting.
Therefore I pray thee, if I found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, my presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. For wherein shall it be known here, and that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? Is it not in that thou goest with us? So shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth.
That was 12 to 16. So we see Masha petitioning the Most High not to leave the children of Israel, not to let his presence leave the children of Israel, so that all the nations know that he is with us. Okay, so the fourth portion would be Exodus 33, verses 17 to verse 23. And the commentary for the fourth portion is as follows. Yahweh agrees to Masha's request that his presence only dwell among the Hebrews. Masha requests to be shown Yahweh's glory. Yahweh agrees, but informs Masha that it will only be shown Yahweh's back, not Yahweh's face. Because if you seen his face, it would have consumed and destroyed him. So he showed Masha his back as he passed Masha, who was standing on Mount Sinai. Okay, so that's the fourth Aliyah commentary. You go ahead and read Ariashan verses 17 to verse 23.
And Yahweh said unto Masha, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of Yahweh before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. And he said, thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. And Yahweh said, behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a cliff on the rock, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away my hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face thou shalt not see.
So that was the fourth parasha. Let me see. Okay, the fifth parasha is Exodus 34, 1 through 9. And we can have another reader. Well, read the fifth.
Kalashra Bar Yahweh.
Kalashra Bar Yahweh.
Naisha
Wa Nashamai.
All that Yahweh said.
All that Yahweh said.
What are we doing here?
What we doing here?
Okay, so the fifth parasha, Yahweh tells Masha to carve new tables of stone upon which Yahweh will engrave 10 commandments, 10 words. Masha takes the new tablets up to Mount Sinai, where Yahweh reveals his glory to Masha while proclaiming his 13 attributes of mercy. Okay, so that's the fifth Aliyah. And the fifth Aliyah is Exodus 34, verses 1 through 9. Go ahead, Ariasha.
And Yahweh said unto Masha, hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest. And be ready in the morning, and come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai, and present thyself there to me in the top of the mount. And no man shall come up with thee, neither let any man be seen throughout all the mount, neither let the flocks nor the herds feed before that mount. And he hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first. And Masha rose up early in the morning and went up unto Mount Sinai as Yahweh commanded him, and took in his hand the 2 tables of stone.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of Yahweh. And Yahweh passed by before him and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh Elohai, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgressions and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the 3rd and to the 4th generation. And Mashah made haste and bowed his head toward the earth in worship. And he said, If now I have found grace in thy sight, O Yahweh, let my Lord, I pray thee, go among us, for it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us for thy inheritance.
So this is what Mashah had asked the Most High to take us for his inheritance, as he bowed and prostrated before him and prayed and worshiped. 13 attributes, read of mercy. Read verses 6 and 7 again.
And Yahweh passed by before him and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh Elohai, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the 3rd and to the 4th generation.
So this is what the Most High has proclaimed to do and has done, and will continue to do as we try to work out our soul salvation, fear and trembling through Yahweh, while Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, first and foremost. All right, so that was the 5th Aliyah. The 6th Aliyah will be Exodus 34, verses 10 to 26. We'll bring up the next reader. Yeah.
Kradzaya ban Wayarak ban Sonny McNeil ban Yahawada ban Yashrala.
Amadwan, Barak.
Yabrak come Yahawah Bashama Shagao Shai.
Yabrak Kakali, how about Shemi Havashah? You read the 6th Aliyah. Commentary for the 6th Aliyah. It says, Yahweh seals a covenant with Mashah, assuring him again that his presence will only dwell with the Hebrews. Yahweh informs the Hebrew people that he will drive the Canaanites from before them. He instructs them to destroy all vessels of idolatry from the land and to refrain from making any covenants with its current inhabitants. The Hebrews are then commanded not to make molten gods, to observe the 3 festivals, not to eat kamutz on Passover, to sanctify male firstborn children and cattle, and not to cook meat together, not to cook a calf in its mother's milk. Okay, and that's what the law says specifically. So this whole dairy restriction that Amalek opposes is not according to the scriptures. Okay, you can't have meat with cheese. You just cannot cook a calf in its own mother's milk, period. That's how the scriptures read, and that's proper interpretation. Okay, so with that being said, we are in the 6th Aliyah, Exodus 34, 10 to 26.
The book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 10. And he said, Behold, I make a covenant before all thy people. I will do marvels such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation. And all the people amongst which thou art shall see the works of Yahweh, for it is a terrible thing that I will do with thee. Observe thou that which I command thee this day. Behold, I drive out before thee the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, the Jebusite. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. Verse 14. For thou shalt worship no other Elohiah, for Yahweh, whose name is jealous, is a jealous Elohiah. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a-whoring after their Elohiah, and do sacrifice unto their powers. And one call thee, and eat of his sacrifices. Verse 16. And thou shalt take of their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go a-whoring after their Elohim, and make thy sons go a-whoring after their Elohim. Thou shalt make thee no molten Elohim. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep 7 days. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, in the time of the month of Abawab. And in the month of Abawab, thou camest out of Mount Azariah. Let me read that again. Verse 18. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep 7 days. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, in the time of the month Abawab. For in the month Abawab thou camest out of Mount Azariah. Verse 19. All that openeth the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. Verse 20. But the firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with the lamb. And if thou redeem him not, then shalt thou break his neck. All the firstborn of the sons thou shalt redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. Verse 20. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the Shabbat day thou shalt rest. In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. Verse 22. Thou shalt observe the feast of weeks and the feast, verse 22. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end. Thrice in a year shall all your men children appear before Yahweh, Elohiah, the Elohiah of Yasharallah. Verse 24. For I will cast out of the nations before thee, and enlarge thy borders. Neither shall any man desire thy land, when thou shalt go up to appear before Yahweh thy Elohiah, thrice in a year. Verse 25. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, neither shall the sacrifice of the feast of Passover be left until the morning. Verse 26. The first of the fruits, the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of Yahweh the Elohiah. Thou shalt not seethe the kid in the mother's milk. Verse 27. And Yahweh said,
that was it. But I'm going to read the next one. So, the seventh Aliyah would be verses 27 to verse 35. All right, that's the seventh portion, seventh Aliyah. What we see in the sixth portion is that, like I reiterated, that you're not supposed to cook a calf in its own mother's milk. That's a prohibition as far as meat with dairy. Okay. As far as as far as he also told us We wasn't supposed to take their daughters or our sons to their daughters in marriages, lest their sons and daughters lead our sons and daughters to follow other gods and idols. Okay, the 3 times that we're supposed to come before the Most High is the read that again, Ak.
The book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 21. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits, of the wheat harvest, of the feast of the end gathering, in the year's end. Verse 23.
Let me say this real quick. Notice he keeps telling you this in this parasha. He said whether it's planting time or whether it's harvest time, ain't no excuse for you to be working on Shabbat. It doesn't matter if it's time to plant or if it's time to harvest. So he keep reiterating the fact that there's no license to sin. Ecclesiastes 15 and 20. Other thing when it says the year's end. What does that mean? That means the end of remember, year comes from Shana, which means another phase is beginning. The end of one phase, beginning of another. So the end of the agricultural year is happening, is what it's talking about, not the end of the full calendar year from the constellations, but the end of this particular agricultural year is at hand. So we want to clarify that also. So this is not talking about Rosh Hashanah is happening next. Rosh Hashanah, the scriptures according to, when we go into Exodus 13 and 12, is only in the month of Abib. And Abib happens in the first constellation, according to Genesis 1:14. And it happens, Passover happens in that month because it has to happen in a particular season. According to Numbers 9 and 3? According to Numbers 9 and 3, it has to happen in a particular season. So the year's end is talking about the ending of that agricultural year. And when it talks about you should not work in the earing time, what is it, earing time or harvest, or what is it, reaping? In earing time or earing or harvest. Yeah, you can't do that. And that goes into, really it's just the whole spectrum. I believe it's Genesis 8:22, when Yahweh was talking to Noah, our father Noah, and he says, as long as, there's hot and cold, there's summer and winter, there's planting and harvesting, the earth would never be flooded with water anymore. What does he mean when he says that? He's saying that under any conditions and circumstances, I'm not going to do this anymore. You understand? So that's what we see going on when Kadal Tzayah is reading right here. So the Most High said, no matter what time of the year you in, you always are supposed to respect and honor me by keeping my Shabbat holy. I yield.
Okay. So, Feast of Ingathering, Feast of Tabernacles, First Fruit, Shabbat Wath, Day of Pentecost, and then you have the Feast of Unleavened Bread. 3 times a year that all males are not supposed to appear empty-handed before the Most High.
Which meant they brought their tithes up at those feast periods, and they gave the tithes to the Levites. It don't mean you put something into the feast fund. You can take that principle and apply it, but that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about you actually bringing your tithe offering to the Levites, in addition to your tithes that you had to use for your celebrated feast.
Huh. All right. So, that being said,
you read verse 17, right?
Yeah, he read.
What verse did you stop off at?
We stopped at verse 27.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at 17. When it says the month of Abib, they say it means spring, but it means like spring forth to grow or earing, when the cycles start to change on the earth. Okay.
All right. The 7th portion.
Yeah, I got that. I can do the 7th portion. You want to read it?
Okay.
Oops. Parza ban Zayatan, ban Gad, ban Yasharala.
Marwa. Marwa.
Yabarakam Yahweh Bashem, Hamashiach Yahushua.
Yabarakaya Yahweh Bashem, Hamashiach Yahushua.
The other. Was it 20?
27 to 35.
Some brown. Exodus chapter
34, 27 to 35.
Exodus chapter 34, verse 27 and 35. 27 to the end of the chapter. First word in there. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, write these words, for after the tenor of these words, I have made a covenant with thee and with Yasharallah. Can somebody give me that Hebrew word for tenor? It's like Rawa'ah or Ra'ah or parent. Because I want to bring something out if it means what I think it means.
I'm not seeing inscribe these words for yourself. You're in verse 27, correct?
Con 34:27.
Inscribe these words for yourself, for according to these words I have formed a covenant with you and with Israel.
$34.25.
Con.
Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with
34:20, 34:27. So like.
$34.27. The word that we have there is pah. Pah.
Pah is mouth.
It's H6310.
Zekaya al-Payam.
It says mouth, commandment,
mouth.
edge, according, word, whole, end, appointment, portion, tenor, sentence. Tenor twice. This is one of those times. And then it's used miscellaneously 32 times. Mouth, mouth of man, organ of speech, mouth of animals, mouth opening, office, extremity, end, weight or equal third shekels occurs only in 1 Samuel chapter 13, verse 23.
So the point we see in this is that the mouth or the vibration of, not even vibration, let's pick a better word, that word is kind of misused nowadays. According to the tenor, according to the intent and the circumstances surrounding what he's saying, he given these commandments. So these commandments are laws, but they also teach principles. They teach you principles that you can or cannot apply in different situations. See, the commandments apply all across the board, but the principles of the commandment may apply to a certain situation or might not. Okay. Verse 28. And he was there with Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments, or the body of 10 words, 10 things. I get that in Hebrew too. And it came to pass when Moshe came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of testimony in Moshe's hand, when he came down from the mount, that Moshe wist not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. And when Aaron and all the children of Yasharallah saw Masha, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him. And Masha called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him. And Masha talked with them, and afterward all the children of Yasharallah came nigh, and he gave them in commandment all that Yahweh had spoken with him in Mount Sinai. Until Masha had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Masha went before Yahweh to speak with him, he took off the veil until he came out. And he went out and spake unto the children of Yasharallah that which he was commanded. And the children of Yasharallah, I was saying that. And the children of Yasharallah saw the face of Masha, that the skin of Masha's face shone. And Masha put the veil upon his face again until he went in to speak with him. Kala Sharat Dabari Yahweh.
Kala Sharat Dabari Yahweh.
Na'isha wa nashami.
Na'isha wa nishami.
All that Yahweh said.
All that Yahweh said.
What we do and hear.
What we do in here.
All right, so this is about the glory that came upon Moses from being around Yahweh for so long and getting that instruction and teaching from Yahweh. Now, what do we find this at in wisdom? What wisdom parallel can we see with this? What just happened?
Will you ask the question again?
What parallels do we see in wisdom with what we just read about? There's something in wisdom, short verse, short portion, that goes with this exactly.
Which specific part in this?
Just any of it. Just any of it. The whole thing is about Moses' face shining. Moses' face being bright. And scripture says, surely wisdom causes a man's face to shine.
Right? Demonstrates obedience.
So wisdom causes a man's face to shine. No, brother, you're adding to the text. It doesn't say that. Is that a commentary on the text? Or commentary? So we're talking about Masha. So his face was shining, but the scripture also says wisdom causes the face to shine. So that's just showing you that a person's outside physical appearance begins to change as they start to walk closer to obeying the Most High. The inside is producing something that can be seen on the outside. All right, something that can be seen on the outside. All right. So in the heavy. So the scriptures talk about the wisdom that came upon him. So when that wisdom came upon him, he started to shine. He was bright. All right, so that's, hey. Next. Are you going to close up with the, you got the maf, you got the maftir? What's the maftir?
The half.
Not the maftir.
Ezekiel 36.
The maftir that comes before that.
Oh, Salah.
Go back to your, use that. Yeah. The last two verses. Is it 1 through 22? I don't know that 1 through 2. Okay, you got the comments. All right, the maftir is 1 through 2. The maftir is 1 through 2. I mean 1 through 22 of Numbers 9, but we're gonna go into the ha-patara. Ha-patara. And the maftir is really ma-patara. No, haftir. Maftir.
What does haftir mean?
Haftir or haftar.
Whichever one you pronounced.
The ha-patara means the conclusion.
How do you?
The ending.
How do you?
Ha pa ta ra.
Perfect. Good
So
teacher.
patah means to huh?
Good teacher.
The patah means to end or conclude something. The end or conclusion. And the maftir, okay. So the conclusion of it.
Well,
What is the hapatara?
Ezekiel 36, 16 through 36. Ezekiel 36, 16 to 36.
And again. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I finish the Torah reading? All right. I finished the Torah reading.
Okay.
So, I'll implement this again. Barakatha Yahweh Alahaynawa Malak Ha'awalam Ashara Nakanlanawa Tawara Amath Wa Yakhayaya Iwalam Nati Ba Tawak Nawa Barak Atha Yahweh Nawatan Hatawara Basham Yahawashi Hamashiach. So do the opening and then the conclusion with the Torah reading. Okay. We'll get it in there. I wrote this on here, but we'll get it, written out again so everybody can see it and say it.
All right.
Ezekiel 37.
36.
36. Oh, I thought it was 37. 36, what verses?
16 to 36.
16 to 36. Okay. Moreover, somebody please commentate on this as I read, please. If you see something, that's so 16 and 36.
Okay.
Okay. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Yasharallah dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by doing their own way and by their own doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman.
And more to it, because I got more.
More to it, that verse?
Yeah. And the period of a separation was their way before me,
So I read the whole verse like that, 17. So it's talking about like a woman on a period. That was the uncleanness of that. And every woman knows that when you're on your cycle, that and you don't feel good. But it's a natural process because you haven't gotten the eggs haven't gotten fertilized, so you're not pregnant, so your body has to release all of the blood. Okay. Wherefore I poured out my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for the idols wherewith they had polluted it.
So that goes when they made the golden calf coming out of Egypt, reverting back to sexual wickedness, being naked, parading himself around. So this is how we defile ourselves before the Most High with idolatry. Verse 19.
Ezekiel 36:19. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through their doings. I judged them.
So the Most High scatters throughout all nations around the planet, throughout the captivities that you read about in the book of Judges, that we were in captivity under all nations for our disobedience to the Most High's commandments, Lord's statutes, and judgment. Verse 20.
And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, They profaned my holy name when they said to them, these are the people of Yahweh, and are gone forth out of his land. But I had pity on mine holy name, which the house of Yasha'Allah had profaned among the heathen, whither they went.
So the Most High had pity for his name's sake, not for our righteous deeds, because we didn't have any righteous deeds. But for the sake that we are called by the Most High's name, this is why he sought to retrieve us out of our different captivities for our disobedience, for his name's sake. So his name would not be spoken evil of among the heathen, where we were scattered at. 22.
Therefore say unto the house of Yasha'Allah, thus saith Adonai Yahweh, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Yasha'Allah, but for mine holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went.
How we profane the Most High's name? By our example of righteousness, by us learning the ways of the other heathens, by not keeping the moral, civil, and dietary laws of the Bible, and following the customs of the nations surrounding us.
That's right.
So that's how we profane the name of the Most High. Verse 23.
And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh. Thus saith Adonai Yahweh, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes.
So the Most High said, through us, the Most High will sanctify his name to the other nations by destroying them through us. All right. 24.
For I will take you from among the heathen.
What?
For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land.
So the future prophecies that the Most High will gather us from the four corners of the earth and bring us back to the land of Yasha'Allah, Israel, and be the power over us, being his chosen nation. All right. He will bring us back to the land of Israel. Go ahead. 25.
Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you.
The cleansing has to be spiritually and physically. Spiritually, that we are cleansed through our spirit, not to want to follow the gods of the other nations. Physically is that the Most High will cleanse us with water by the washing of the water, through the word and through physical water. We'll cleanse our temples to be better vessels to serve the Most High in spirit and truth in the Torah.
That's right.
26.
A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh.
So the Most High said he will take the old heart, the old mind, the old ways from out of our spirits and out of our temples. So, and put in a new heart, a new spirit, one that knows the commandments of the Most High, and one that strives and will be obedient no matter what. 27.
And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and I will call for the corn and will increase it and lay no famine upon you.
So once we demonstrate obedience to the Most High, he will now allow our harvests to increase bountifully through the land. All right, our crops will increase. Okay, our livestock will increase. But we have to first demonstrate obedience to the Most High through the Torah, through Yahushua and Mashiach. All right, we have to walk in his statutes and keep his ordinance. Go ahead, verse 30.
And I will multiply the fruit of the tree and the increase of the field, and ye shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen.
So it's the Most High that gives us the increase of our livestock. Through the Most High, this is how we receive bountiful harvests by the land. Okay, the Most High gives the increase, and He can decrease the increase from the tree and from the produce of the field if we demonstrate disobedience to His commandment. Verse 31.
Ezekiel 36, verse 31. Then shall ye remember your own evil doings, and your doings that were not good, and shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abominations.
So you will meditate on the evil that you did before the Most High, and seriously seek repentance to Him for your disobedience. 32.
Not for your sakes do I this, saith Adonai Yahweh. Be it known unto you, be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Yasharallah. Thus saith Adonai Yahweh, in the day that I shall have cleansed you from all your iniquities, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the waste shall be builded, and the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that passed by.
So, in the future prophecy, the Most High said that He will make the land become bountiful. We will inhabit the ruined cities and resettle in the cities and build them back up. All right. Wherever the Most High has destroyed, He will rebuild for our sake. 35.
And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden, and the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. And the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, Yahweh, build the ruined places and plant that was desolate. I, Yahweh, have spoken it, and I will do it.
So the nations surrounding us as the nation of Israel will realize that the Most High is dwelling with us when they see the desolate cities being rebuilt, when they see the harvest of the fields being brought in, and when they see everything that the Most High has destroyed of us being replaced. So that's the future prophecy that the Most High has promised once we return in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in Yahushua Mashiach in the Torah. All right. So that was the Torah portion, Ezekiel 36, verses 16 to verse 38.
Mark 10, verse 1 through 9 is the Besorah.
Mark 9.
Mark 9, 1 through 10. Excuse me. Okay. And he said unto them, verily I say unto you, that there be some of them that stand here, which shall not taste of death till they have seen the kingdom of Yahweh come with power.
So that's referring to those that will die a second death. It says the dead in Christ shall rise first. It also says the dead will rise first. So some to everlasting life, those that had their faith in Yahushua Mashiach, and those to damnation and hellfire because their sins, they had not repented of their sins. All right. So they will, on the second coming of Yahushua, they will die a second death.
And it's also getting into some of the people that were there with him at that point are going to be around again when Yahushua returns. Remember, he's going to return in power when we get back into the land of Israel. So those people, remember, it's going to be a lot of people are going to be in the land of Israel, all right, their spirits are going to be back and see him come again. And after 6 days, Yahushua taketh with him Peter and James and John, and leadeth them up into an high mountain, apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them.
So this is when he took on his spiritual body before them so they could witness his awe and his splendor. All right. And it's gonna give a description of how he looked once he made his transfiguration. Verse 3.
And his raiment became shining, exceeding white as snow, so that no fuller on earth can white them.
So this is another level of whiteness. Okay, no bleach, no fuller soap. Okay, nothing on earth could bring this type of aura of whiteness to this garment that you have. So no product on earth could give you that type of whiteness. So that's how we know that this was a spiritual transfiguration.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm getting the Russian icons book too to show some of the images of the transfiguration of people that have been drawn over the years.
Okay.
And then verse 4, and there appeared unto them Elijah with Moses Mashah, and they were talking with Yahushua. And Peter answered and said to Yahushua, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias.
This is what Peter was saying cardinally, but Yahushua knew that that was not something that they should have done. All right, what he showed them was meant for them to see. Okay, it wasn't meant for the whole earth to be made aware of.
For he wist not what to say, and they were so afraid. And there was a cloud that overshadowed them.
So we can say that the cloud was chariot, or we can say it was a cloud, but nonetheless it overshadowed those 3 figures that transfigured before them, with Yahushua in the midst of them with an exceedingly shining white garment, a white that no white on earth could match.
And also to mention that this is that white garment that we're looking to get too, you know.
Those that receive salvation.
Hallelujah.
Represent immortality, everlasting life. So you want to show some icons now?
Yeah, let me right now, stop reading the verses.
No, you finish the verse.
Or you just asked me, I want to show them now. You want me? Is that appropriate to just stop reading and show pictures? I'll wait till I'm finished. If you ask, then you got it. Let's see. You got something from Ethiopia too, but.
Salah, Parzah, how important do you think it is that we learn Ge'ez or Ethiopian?
Not terribly.
Whenever we look up the words, right, and we're doing a lexicon, I see that the words are in English, Hebrew, Arabic, and Ethiopic. So, you know, this has kind of been my second time that it's kind of come to my mind that, hey, maybe this will be a decent thing to put in our arsenal.
Yeah, it's not wrong with putting that repertoire.
Excuse me, please.
It depends on the time period you're talking about for the Gez also. Because some of the Gez was taken from the Syriac church and they copied some of the Syriac writings into the Gez language. So you have to be talking about the 1st century and beforehand Gez, not the 2nd, 3rd, 4th century Gez. And once we got to translate Gez books out of Aramaic. You see, a lot of them books were not composed originally in Gez, but a lot of them are only remain with us written in Gez. But they came from the remember the Ethiopic Orthodox Church, Ethiopian Orthodox Church, what they call Teodo. That Orthodox Church is not a uniquely African experience. It came from, they submitted themselves unto the Aramaic Church or the Syriac Catholic Church. So Gez is important for us to know, but especially when there's no Hebrew aspect of it, but the Aramaic in most cases predates the Gez in the holy relics, but the holy not relics. I'm looking at the book saying relics in the holy records that we have.
The water.
Gez is a good copy though. The only thing about the Gez is that it didn't pass through a bunch of hands. That's what's good because nobody was down in Ethiopia meddling too much. So the Gez didn't pass through a whole bunch of other people's hands. So it's true to the source text that it was copied from.
The water. Yeah. Come.
But yes, it's good to learn, good to know.
Come.
Particular words.
When I go through the Blue Letter Bible and I look up words, and I'm like, hey, you know, I always see the Ethiopic, and that just throws that has for a while, you know, that's for a while throwing me off.
Oh yeah,
because I don't recognize them. So, you know, since I don't recognize them, like, well, what is this? You know, it makes me want to go a little bit, you know, deeper. So maybe we can get some of our Ethiopic Jewish brothers.
Yeah. In Israel. We ran across some of them in Israel. But Gez is something we have to go to what they call the Patriarchs about. Because the average person don't know the Gez no more. Hey, tell me if this is okay. Is that okay? That's good over there. So that's one of the transfigurations. And here's another transfiguration. All right. Who was with him? What three guys were with him?
Elijah, Moses, and Yahushua.
His students.
Peter,
The water.
Peter, was it Peter, James, and
Peter, James, and John.
okay. And now somebody's control that light too. And now here you can see Peter, James, and John on the ground right here. If you look right there, you see here's a version of it. Here's another version of it. This is from a book called The Icons, which is dealing with the Russian icons of the Russian Orthodox Church, which is brown-skinned people, or painting brown-skinned people in these books. Is that coming across okay? Okay. And bring it closer. Mine both screens. Which one am I not in? Mine both now? Now both? Now still? So these are one of the answers?
I never noticed that. It's the fascination and the reality. Wow. I never noticed that on the title. Huh.
I guess like what people's fascination with them and the reality of the situation. And then you have some more over here. Get some more. This is one of the more famous ones right here. It's one of the more famous ones on the upper left side.
You showed it on camera.
I gotta get over there. This is one of the more famous ones right there. Does this look like this? I don't know why I'm asking you, but if she pull that, I'm not pulling off. So then you might have to adjust that light. So let me get in the upper camera first. Am I in there? Okay, that's all we want. So he's in there. Okay. Move the light because it's in the picture. The glare. Let's cut it off for a minute. That's that light. I cut that light on. Right. So that's the transfiguration. All right. So see the brown skin. And then here's another one. Is that one in there? Tell me what I need to do. That one? That's in there. Okay. Okay, so this is the transfiguration that we just read about in Mark 9, right?
Mark 9.
Mark 9. Yeah, I don't mind saying it again though. Hallelujah.
Very careful.
Amen.
Mark
Amen.
9. And you stopped at verse 7.
For those of you that's watching on Isaiah Yashar, make sure you go to the Parzah. I'll put the link in so you all can see the Russian icon image, also the transfiguration. Thank for joining us in the Shabbat.
So here's the last one that we show, which is probably one of the most famous ones and probably one of my favorites right here. Right there. Good brown, tone on the skin. And that's Yahushua and Moses with the tablet and Elijah. And then Peter, James, and John. Okay. At the bottom right there. So. All right. All right, so that's before. That's the fascination and reality. 500 illustrations.
Verse 7.
And there was a cloud that overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud, saying, "This is my beloved son, hear him."
So Yahweh basically bellowed out of the cloud, just saying, "This is my beloved son, hear him out." Verse 8.
Hear him. And suddenly, when they had looked round about, they saw no man anymore, save Yahushua only with themselves.
So he changed back to his regular presence before them. Verse 9.
And the other ones that were with him disappeared. They weren't there anymore. So that's the main thing that's going into right here. And suddenly, when they looked around about, they saw no man anymore, save Yahushua only with themselves.
So they didn't see Elijah, they didn't see Masha.
And as they came down from the mountain, he charged them that they should tell no man what they had seen till the Son of Man were risen from the dead.
Real quick commentary. For all those who like to read apocryphal books or books that are outside the Torah, extra biblical books, be very careful. There's a book called The Gospel of Thomas. This is a Gnostic book, which comes from Simon Magus, and it speaks on this example of the transfiguration. I do not encourage anyone read and or teach from it. If you do read from it, let it be for your own personal knowledge. Please do not teach from it. When it comes to this example of the transfiguration, and I yield the floor. Prince, can I see that? Can I see that?
There's no end.
There's no end. The book. Gracias.
So, verse 10, and they kept that saying with themselves, questioning one with another what the rising from the dead should mean. They didn't have that understanding quite yet at that point. But Yahushua does give it to him later on as it gets closer to his point of death and resurrection.
So he transfigured himself. He's shown, and this is akin to what happened with Masha. When Masha's face started to shine bright.
Correct.
And then Yahushua whole clothes and everything started to shine bright. So that when Masha he had a large portion of it, but it seemed like he was able to turn it on and off. So his spirit was, and what that kind of shows that Yahweh Shai's spirit was constantly in the presence of the Most High. His thoughts, his words, his fellowship with the Most High, Yahweh, was constant. So he didn't have to go and be isolated with the Most High for a certain time period in order to start to get that glow. That glow came upon him as a course of daily life, his daily walk. All right, the glow just came upon him. And that's the same level that we want to try to get to, but we can get to it, but it's going to be a hard, arduous work. Just meditating in his presence and letting all your actions and thoughts revolve around the Most High on a daily basis, and letting his word be in your heart and in your soul and in your mouth, pertaining to whatever situation you find yourself in, living in his word, abiding in his word. The scriptures being your only mouthpiece, your script, being your only recourse of any actions or options on what you should do. And once you can live in that area spiritually, you're accomplishing a great feat. And that's the area that we all are endeavoring to live in. To where we don't need this, we don't need that. We don't feel like our bodies is craving things, or we don't feel like our body is desiring things. There's nothing wrong with cravings or desires righteously, for our spouse, or for a certain thing to eat, or a certain thing to drink, or a certain thing to wear. But Yahweh Shai's mission was focused on the Father. That was first.
That's
every
right.
single thing he did. Right? Everything he did, Yahweh was the motivating factor behind everything. So when we get to that point, believe me, we're not gonna have to want for anything when you put Yahweh first. This is what the Master Smith said when he told us to seek the kingdom first, and all these things will be added unto us. All right. That's all I got to say on that particular topic.
Kind. So, moving forward, we must watch, we must guard the truth, and we must strive to become closer to the Most High through Yahweh Shai Mashiach in our walk. On a quick side note, we had talked about a bill that's up in New York. You can look it up. It's called Bill 416. All right, Bill 416.
It's that's the area code for Toronto, Canada. That means something.
You see it?
Went to Congress, Congress.gov.
I was under the impression it was in New York. What okay.
He's trying to figure it out now.
Probably like you want to give some assistance. I don't know what this is.
Back up to the previous page. New York State up there, right there. Yeah, the New York State Senate. This is from NewYorkSenate.gov.
What's the progress of the bill?
Relates to the removal of cases, contacts, and carriers of communicable diseases who are potentially dangerous to the public health. Any is it an overview? Is it a description of the bill? That down some summary. Nothing else in summary. Bill text. I guess that's all you know. Anything else under that? At the end of the page. Okay. The people in New York removal and detention of cases, contacts, and carriers who are or may be a danger to public health. Other orders, the provisions of this section shall be utilized in the event that the governor declares a state of health emergency due to an epidemic of any communicable disease. Upon determining by clear and convincing evidence that the health of others is or may be endangered by a case, contact, or carrier, or suspected case, contact, or carrier of a contagious disease, that, in the opinion of the governor, after consultation with the commissioner, may pose an imminent and significant threat to the public health, resulting in severe morbidity or high mortality. The governor or his or her delegee, including but not limited to, one of my phrases, the commissioner or the heads of local health departments may order the removal and or detention of such a person or of a group of such persons by issuing a single order identifying such persons either by name or by a reasonably specific description of the individuals or group being detained. Such person or group of persons shall be detained in a medical facility or other appropriate facility or premises designated by the governor or his or her delegee and complying with subdivision 5 of this order. A person or group removed or detained by order of the governor or his or her delegee pursuant to subdivision 2 of this section shall be blase, blase, blah. So you can go to NewYorkSenateGov.com, and then you can type in Bill 416, and it'll come up if you want to read it for yourself.
That's terrifying.
So, that being said.
Oh, let me say this too real quick. Now, remember the so-called white man that call himself a Jew? He is just as opposed, if not more so, than this stuff as you are. So he's on that list of people too, not just Israelites. Muslims, y'all safe. You know, conservative Jewish people, y'all safe. Right? The Hasidic Jewish community is going to be impacted by this decision also. Because, you know, during COVID in New York and in what you call that place? In Israel, yeah, they didn't care. They walking around like nothing's wrong. But then they started to have a high mortality rate too, though, or high contraction rate. So I yield.
So that's the evidence. I mean, they are ramping up procedures to deal with any perceived or so-called outbreak of any type of communicable disease. So in hindsight, I would say the scriptures tell us don't live house to house. All right, these urban centers are not places that you want to make your dwelling at or maintain your dwelling at. It's one thing to have to go there to basically commerce and business and what have you. There's another thing to live there. Because, I mean, the handwriting's on the wall. They're not going back to so-called normal. All right. So scriptures tell us that a prudent man foresees danger and try to make necessary preparations. Well, we're bringing these dangers to you now. All right. Y'all need to organize yourselves. It goes back to the royal basics: repentance, obedience, Yahweh Shai, your nation, Yashala, and the understanding and preparing for these last days. Okay, when you go to the CDC website, they have a section that they kindly entitled as zombie preparedness.
It was
it was meant to be a joke.
But still, though, that's not nothing to joke about.
Right, it's nothing to joke about, but the reason why they chose the zombie preparedness or the title is to basically make you aware of natural disasters that can occur and what you need to do to prepare for them when they do occur, such as having water, such as having food. But first and foremost, First and foremost, you need Yahweh Shai Mashiach. All right, you need a spirit of obedience. Okay, the first part of the word is repentance. You need to repent, and you need obedience to the Most High's laws, statutes, commandments, the Bible, the Torah. All right, and the understanding of Yahweh Shai Mashiach. All right, without that understanding, all your physical preparations are to no effect. All right, it won't save you without the Most High behind you. So, with that being said, we want any comments? Okay. With that being said, we want to thank
Somebody said, is the elder with the light colored turban on it and the black tunic sitting at the front end of the table available for courting?
Are you available for
Here's a result from search.
I think that was made up.
You had Siri jumping in on that one. Siri and all the automated systems. You probably got more information than that.
Yeah.
I want to put notebooks.
So, moving forward, we thank you for coming on this week's parasha. Stay tuned for next week's parasha, and be steadfast in your faith towards Yahweh Shai Mashiach. So in that we say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Those that are still in Shabbat.
Shalom is an adjective. Shalom is a noun. So are you saying Shabbat with the description of peaceful, or Shabbat and peace together?
Shalom.
Shabbat. So Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. All right. Kwam Yasha'Allah.
Kum Yasharallah.
Okay, we can end. Close out.
Yes, I gotta get back to the edge of my bed. I got some websites I need to search out. We gotta end.